King Charles III and Queen Camilla's royal tour of Australia has been drawing crowds across the country, but not all is as it seems. While the royal couple may appear to be welcomed by throngs of enthusiastic supporters, a closer look reveals a carefully orchestrated operation designed to give the illusion of widespread popularity. Much of this fabrication can be attributed to groups like the Australian Monarchist League, who have openly admitted to organising and giving crowds flags and posters to make the royal family seem more popular than they truly are. Groups like the Australian Monarchist League have actively taken it upon themselves to bring in people to boost crowd sizes and create a false sense of enthusiasm. In a recent Twitter post, the group boasted about the 5,000 plus people who joined them at St. Thomas Anglican Church to greet the King and Queen. The post, found here, shows just how strategic their involvement is, including handing out free flags to help create the visual effect of widespread support. The Australian Monarchist League has openly discussed their large-scale operations, even mentioning that they distributed 10,000 flags in Sydney alone. This level of organisation is not accidental. It's a concerted effort to make the monarchy appear far more popular than it really is. The League has essentially admitted that these crowds are carefully planned, not spontaneous demonstrations of genuine admiration. A key part of this manufactured spectacle involves ensuring that the right people, those supportive of the monarchy, are placed front and centre. Security at these events is notoriously tight, and it's well known that random members of the public rarely get close access to the King and Queen. Instead, the faces we see waving flags near the royal couple are often those pre-screened or organised by groups like the Australian Monarchist League. It's not difficult to see how this process works. The Monarchist League has an army of workers who not only distribute flags but also help organise the crowd and ensure that supporters are present in key locations. These renter crowds, made up of organised loyalists, create a false image of overwhelming public support. But the reality on the ground is much more nuanced. The Monarchist League has not been shy about the scale of their operations. In fact, they have declared that what they are doing is a massive undertaking, one that requires resources, planning, and coordination. Their public statements reveal just how artificial the royal couple's perceived popularity is. Distributing thousands of flags, organising thousands of people, and managing social media posts to promote this illusion. This is all part of a larger strategy to make the royal tour seem like a success. The League's posts across platforms reveal how they are engaging with this process. In a tweet following a royal visit in Sydney, they proclaimed, "We handed out hundreds of flags and look forward to seeing your photos." Such comments make it clear that this is not a spontaneous groundswell of monarchist fervour, but a carefully managed event designed to generate favourable optics. In the end, it's clear that much of the royal tour's so-called popularity is a product of strategic manipulation. Groups like the Australian Monarchist League play a pivotal role in shaping public perception, creating the illusion that King Charles and Camilla are beloved by the masses, when, in reality, their visit is met with apathy or quiet opposition by a large portion of the Australian population. The truth is, many Australians are questioning the relevance of the monarchy in the modern age. They see the royal family as out of touch with Australian values and increasingly irrelevant to the country's future. The waving flags and cheering crowds might look genuine, but the reality is that many of these events are carefully staged, with organised groups filling the gaps in public enthusiasm. For many, the sight of renter crowds and rented enthusiasm is not a reflection of admiration, but rather of an institution struggling to remain relevant in a world that is rapidly moving on from its colonial past. Sibling rivalry is as old as time. From biblical tales to modern-day families, it's a thread that runs through human relationships, shaping both the closest of bonds and the most bitter of conflicts. One of the most well-known and tragic examples comes from the Bible, the story of Cain and Abel. the underlying themes of jealousy, competition, and deep-seated resentment remain evergreen, often simmering under the surface in relationships between siblings. Today, the world has a front-row seat to a real-life saga of sibling rivalry playing out in the British royal family between Prince William and Prince Harry. Their story is one of two brothers who were once incredibly close, but have grown increasingly distant over the years. Some might argue that their strained relationship boils down to one inescapable factor: sibling rivalry, magnified by their unique circumstances and intensified by the media. In the royal family, the concept of sibling rivalry takes on a whole new dimension. The age-old dynamic of the heir and the spare is embedded in the monarchy. Prince William was born to be king. His destiny was decided the moment he took his first breath. For Prince Harry, his role was always less clear. As the younger son, he was the spare, a backup in case something happened to his elder brother. This very distinction, one crowned for the future and the other sidelined, sets the stage for rivalry from the outset. But rivalry is about more than titles and status. It's also about the very human desire for recognition, approval, and love. And in the case of William and Harry, this emotional undercurrent was only exacerbated by their mother's belief that Prince Harry possessed qualities that would make him a better king than his elder brother. Princess Diana, beloved around the world, reportedly believed that Harry had the personality and qualities needed to be a great leader, perhaps even a better one than William. Diana's affection for Harry, whom she famously called "my little Spencer" due to his resemblance to her family, only intensified the dynamic between the brothers. While William was naturally reserved, dutiful, and aware of the heavy burden of his future role, Harry was more free-spirited, charming, and empathetic. These contrasting traits fueled a perception that, in a different world, Harry might have been the more fitting monarch. For William, these perceptions likely planted a subtle, nagging insecurity, even though his path to the throne was assured. Having a younger brother who was seemingly adored by both their mother and the public could easily create a chip on his shoulder. In contrast, Harry, feeling both the love of his mother and the weight of being the spare, may have been driven to carve out his own identity, one separate from his brother's shadow. These seeds of tension were sown in their childhood, and when amplified through the constant scrutiny of the media, it was only a matter of time before they grew into something far more complex and unmanageable. The brothers' private tensions have been exacerbated by the media, which has long thrived on comparisons between the two princes. The situation only worsened with Harry's marriage to Meghan Markle and the subsequent decision to step down from royal duties, a move that some interpreted as a final break from the royal family, and from William. For all their history, the solution to William and Harry's rivalry might be simpler than one might think: time apart. Sometimes distance allows old wounds to heal and fresh perspectives to emerge. Since their split, with Harry now living in the US and William continuing his royal duties in the UK, the brothers have had time to forge separate lives independent of one another. While their public encounters are few and far between, their separate paths may provide the space needed to eventually rebuild their relationship, and the decision of leaving, made by Meghan and Harry, was exactly the right thing to do. For Harry, living outside the royal institution gives him a chance to build his identity on his own terms, away from the labels of the spare or the rebellious prince. For William, the space allows him to embrace his role as future king, without the burden of Diana's idealistic vision of Harry looming over him. Sibling rivalry is natural, but in the case of Prince William and Prince Harry, it's been amplified by their unique circumstances, family history, and the intense scrutiny of the media. Like the many brothers before them, from Cain and Abel to more modern examples, the rivalry between William and Harry was inevitable. But unlike many sibling duos, their relationship plays out on a global stage. In the end, it will likely take more than a reconciliation to bridge the gap. it will take an understanding of each other's unique burdens, and the recognition that sometimes the best way to preserve a bond is to live apart.